DollarStoreChapstick, and this is Survival Tips with DollarStoreChapstick. And today we're going to be doing a review of the Heetsheet survival blanket. This is 90% heat reflective, and it's 25% larger than the emergency blanket, and it's windproof and waterproof according to the front of the package, and it claims to be lightweight because it's 3.2 ounces, and its dimensions is 58 inches by 98 inches. And some additional uses other than a blanket is for covering your gear, for first aid, for shelter, or as a ground tarp. And that's the front. And these people are in it. It's reusable, and this package is resealable. So if you want to keep it in a small package, that's what you do. You put it in this. It opens like a really hard to open Ziploc bag, and when you open it, it comes with an instruction book in not English. Oh, it is in English, but it's in other languages too. So if you don't speak English, you can also read the other versions it has. It says how to do something with this. It says how to collect water. That's really interesting. That's actually really cool. Yeah, it has collecting water in a solar still, and it says that you can use this to do it. And it shows an entire detailed description. That's cool. That's actually really cool. And whenever you open it, it's like this. One side is orange, the other side is very shiny. Actually, a good thing maybe. I think if you need to get help, if you're in a survival situation and you have this and you need to get help, you could reflect.
Yeah.
You can get attention by shining this like a mirror. And then you open it, like this probably. Excuse me. It's too windy for this.
And a perfect survival situation doesn't exist, right?
That is true. It would probably be windy if you were stuck in a survival situation. So if you want to, and if you want to get a helicopter's attention, if there's helicopters, then you could literally just do this. You can get people's attention by doing this. It's like if you had a mirror and you shined it at the sun to get people's attention by shining the shiny at them. Okay.
What are the 3 things that people absolutely need to survive?
In a survival situation, food is actually not one of them.
That's true.
Your dehydration is more important, so water is one of them.
Water is one.
You need water, you need shelter. You need water and shelter. Or you need to keep your body warm too, because hypothermia is bad. But you can't keep your body too warm because there is a temperature where if your body gets too hot, then it's fatal. So that's really bad. 107.6 degrees. So if you have a fever that is that or close to that, then go to the hospital.
After you get the 3 things that you need to survive, what is the next thing you need to do?
I know what to do. What you do? Okay, so if you are in a situation where you need somebody's help, one of the best things to do is follow every movie you've watched where somebody gets stuck and take a stick or a rock or something and get a bunch of them, go to a clearing where there's no trees, no anything, and just write help or SOS on the floor in whatever you find
on the ground
different from the color of the ground. So don't use leaves to do it if it's green on the green ground. You find a rock, and then write help SOS so that whenever the helicopters see it, then that means that they'll know that there's a problem.
And I'll tell you why this is, because most of the time when you are lost or you are in a survival mode, if people know that you're not there and you're missing, then they're going to send out a helicopter or a small plane to try and look for you. That is the number one way that they send help to look for you, is by sky.
They have search parties in the sky, because then they'll expect you to write help on the floor, because you need help.
It's the fastest way to locate someone if they can see you.
If you're in danger, if possible, please have a phone. You can call 911. Just do it. Just bring your phone, and also tell people where you are if you're going somewhere.
Absolutely.
Because like if you're going hiking, tell somebody.
Yes.
So that if you're gone for too long, they will be like, okay, there's a problem. You better not fly away.
Your heat sheet's gonna blow away. So, once you have your 3 necessities, water, shelter,
And
warmth,
help on the floor.
right?
Well.
Yeah, write it as big as you can. If you can get tree branches, if you can get ferns,
If we were
rocks.
to need help at our house, we have those.
Oh yeah, the things right behind you, they're a different color than the grass, so they would be sufficient. And you try to write it at least the size of your body.
Like, I'm like 5'6".
So
it
you
would
try
be
to
like
make
5'6".
Yeah, try to make the letters like 5'6" or bigger, if at all possible, because also things are a lot smaller from the air.
That's a good rule to follow, because if you write help on the ground and it's like there, nobody's going to see that. Just lose all your hope now.
Yep.
So you have to like write it big, and you also have to make sure that you have the shelter and the water, and that you're not getting too hot, because
Or too cold.
or too cold. Hypothermia can set in at as low as 95 degrees Fahrenheit, so make sure that you have warmth if you can find it. Do it in the form of like making a fire. If you have warm clothes, make sure that they're dry. Make sure that you're dry. Keep yourself dry. That's really bad if you're not, because you could like freeze.
Yeah, when your body drops to 95 degrees.
But if you're in water though, if the water is as low as 40 degrees Fahrenheit, that's when you won't be able to survive. Once you have all of those set, basically you're good, and you can go get food. Like, you can hunt for food. But you can go without food for 45 days. I know it won't be comfortable, but you can do it. I know you can. There's a bonus tip if you have this package, because this is a good package to keep that in. This can collect water, actually. Like, you could collect water in this. So, if you want to do that, then do that. Because this is made out of plastic. And I think that the inside is, like, smooth, too. So it's definitely water safe. And it says a bunch of stuff on here, actually. It says, expect the unexpected. And it has life-saving techniques. And that says, wet or damp clothing conducts heat away from your body quickly. Use the emergency blanket to stay dry, either by wrapping yourself or by building a simple shelter. See the diagram below. It has a diagram there of a shelter, a simple shelter, using a stick in that photo. And it says, in cold weather, wrap yourself in the blanket to stay warm. In hot weather, such as a desert sun, build a simple shelter and use the silver side of the blanket to reflect the sun's heat away and create a much cooler space underneath. Because it has the two sides, so if you want to reflect the sun away, you use that side. Dude, wait, this actually works. Hold on. This really actually works. I'm actually kind of getting warmer. Because the sun is over there, and I have the orange side out, and if you do this, you can actually feel the warmth. It's crazy. Ma, you should try it.
It's also, if you flip it over in the desert, people that are flying airplanes and stuff would see the reflection.
They can see.
Yeah, and if you're wearing it for heat, the orange is pretty prominent against any other color you have.
Wait, if you want to stay cool, does it mean, like, if you keep it like this, will it keep you cool? Like,
They're saying if you build a shelter out of it and put the shiny side, well, the
if you keep the
silver side up.
If you keep that side toward the sun, then it reflects the sun away.
Yes.
This is actually really useful. I think you should get it.
It's incredibly useful. It's also quieter than most emergency blankets. It's not quite as crinkly. Look at her dancing in it.
Yeah.
It's not quite as crinkly, and that definitely makes it better to sleep with.
I like this actually.
I've slept with a lot of really crinkly Mylar emergency blankets.
The only problem I have with this is that on the package it does kind of look fluffier, but you can't expect it to be fluffy.
It also has a little bit of stretch to it, which the Mylar blankets do not have.
It's like kind of stretchy. And then, oh, another thing. If you're with somebody else on the package, it shows somebody else fitting in there.
Yeah,
Multiple
you could
people.
definitely fit more than one person in there.
Yeah, and those are 2 adults.
Yeah.
They both look like they're in very much distress, but with this blanket, they're not.
You kind of look like a superhero.
Shiny blanket man. Oh my goodness.
Okay, now you just look like Marilyn Monroe. Okay, Dollar Store Chapstick is going to show you 2 easy ways to build a shelter with this and a pair of trekking poles.
Or sticks. These are the trekking poles that we have. And some of the trekking poles are not like this though. So these are based off of ours. There's a cap on the bottom that I don't know how to, oh yeah. Cap on the bottom. That's to keep it from being pointy.
That's a trekking pole tip.
And now it has like a point. It's a really cool point actually. That has like a, and then to make it bigger, you open it like this. Oh no. You don't do that, but you do this and then you close it. If you want to make it extra bigger.
Oh my gosh, you did it again.
Wait, I just realized there's a stop.
Yeah.
So to make a shelter, I would not need it this tall probably. Maybe that tall. First, you have the pointy part, and you stab it in the ground. And in this situation, I'm in the desert, so I'm gonna put the shiny side up. I'm gonna need rocks for this. I used the other trekking pole to hold this down while I got some rocks. You also need rocks for this. That happens in the windy situations. What you do is you take it, and it's probably a good idea to have it the long way. And you like, oh, it's so windy.
Oh.
No! My shelter is going to fail. Okay, I'm gonna. Okay. Hopefully it's not too windy to do it.
You don't have perfect opportunities.
It's even harder though, because if you use a stick, you'd have to sharpen the stick probably. But what you do is you take the rocks and you put it on the corners. So like, I have a rock over there to hold it down.
It's so windy that it's pulling the rock. In that situation, find bigger rocks if possible.
Then you put down a rock and a rock, and you pull it like this, not like that. maybe if I do it a different way. Actually, I have an idea. I have an idea. Maybe try it with a rock, a rock, a rock, a rock, and this. Not that.
I might have to find you some bigger rocks.
Might have to find a not windy area. The wind is blowing toward us.
If you do not have rocks to use, which I know that sounds funny, but we actually came across a situation in Cumberland Island, Georgia. There was not a single rock on that island, I'm pretty sure. And there's other people that agree with that. It's not just me being weird. If you come into that situation, you can try to use a log that, like a fallen tree or something. Basically anything that's got substantial weight that you can use to hold this down. Because if you have one of these with you and you're in a survival situation, you don't want to lose this.
Because what you do is you like, actually maybe if I do this short. Well, basically the idea is that you take your stick or your trekking pole, stick it in the ground, and then put your tarp like this around it. This is a really bad model, it's so windy. You take your stick and it holds it up. And actually, this right now is actually pulled really tight. I don't know if I'll fit in there.
So, for this model, you would either want to...
I'm trying.
Is this the desert model?
This is the desert model.
Okay, so this is going to keep the sun off of your body and also reflect so that an airplane could see you in the desert.
This is actually really good, I like it. Because I can fit in here, and I'm 5'6", but if you're bigger, you might have to do it differently. Or get a bigger blanket.
If I was going to do it for the desert, I would leave it like this. But for a different situation, I would probably put one rock in the middle in the back to hold that down. In the desert, I would want that airflow like you have.
Yeah, because I can feel the air in the back, and the wind is pulling it up.
And with the trekking pole, you could lower it if the sun's on you like it is right now.
It's true, while you're in it, you can do it. I can't see the sun.
I know, you've got the sun right in your face.
I think it's this one, yeah. You could lower it like this if you want, and you could put yourself very deep in. Dude, this is like a door.
Except you pulled the rock out.
Oh no! No! You can fix it while you're inside if you need to.
Yeah.
But, this actually is pretty good. I like this. But there's also another method, and it's basically the same thing as this. Instead, you have two. So you do the same thing with your trekkie poles. You do the same thing, you pull this part off, if you have it.
That's a trekking pole tip. I use those because I live in Pennsylvania and we have rocks everywhere.
And also, like, a tip with the trekkie poles, whenever you're going somewhere, if there's snakes, to feel for, if you know that there's a snake around, you like...
You don't stab the snake.
You don't stab it, but you like feel around on the rocks. Like, whenever we go hiking, she always like walks with trekkie poles, and then if there's a rock, like if we're on top of it or behind it, tap, tap, tap.
Because a snake is going to find your trekking pole threatening before it finds your foot threatening. Most of the time it will make itself known in one way or another.
You put two, and then you do it the same. I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and you want to get a better stretch than she has right there because otherwise it'll blow off.
I'm like scared of ripping this, but it's not really rippable, it's more stretchy.
Another tip, if your trekking poles have the loops, you can...
Oh, that's true.
I can't videotape and do it, but
You can loop it
like
around.
that.
I want to close this, but I don't want to get my hand.
If you can see what I did there.
I can demonstrate. What you do is you take the loopy part and put it around like that.
Yep. And that'll help to hold it. And you can tighten the loops when you get them on there.
Then you have the double one, which is more open. And I feel like maybe if you're a bigger person, that would work better. I want to try going with it. You have to lay in these though. You can't like sit. It's too small.
What that trekking pole handle just did is why you would want to tighten it once you get it on there. But don't tighten mine.
This is a good one. This is a good one. And then you can stay in here and be happy and healthy and safe. And this one is actually bigger. There's like a more opening to it. For the cold, you do it like this.
Get it up over your head.
Yeah, because you can make it into...
Make sure it's completely wrapped around you and squat to the ground. If you can get it under your butt, you can sit on it.
Yeah.
And tuck your legs inside.
I'm doing my best.
And you would survive. You wouldn't be very comfortable, but you would survive. And you...
if you're walking in this, if you're walking in it, then your body heat from walking would stay inside.
Yes. Just make sure you don't sweat, because sweat equals wet equals cold.
Don't make sure that you're dry. Just make sure you're dry. Don't keep yourself wet, because that's really bad.
If you start to sweat, take it off. And in a cold situation, you always want to keep your head covered. Why?
Because snow makes you wet.
No, but that is true.
Snow makes you wet, and that's bad.
Your head loses body heat the fastest.
And your brain is in there.
Well, yeah, your brain's in there too, but you will lose heat fastest through your head.
The package is really itty bitty. It's like not much bigger than a phone in tall ways. So if you keep this in this, you can put it in a travel bag. Like
Yes.
if you're going somewhere, or you could put it in your purse. You could keep it with you, just in case. I'll see you in the next video, and I'll show you 2 more shelters that you can make in another survival situation.